Well, tough game last night at Georgia, and clearly did not perform well. And the challenge, I think, for me as a coach is to not try to figure out why it happened, but just try to focus on what happened, where we're breaking down, and try to show the players what we need to do against Vanderbilt. So, so disappointing, and all those things go into it. And I think right now we need to try to take the emotion out of it. I know for me as a coach, I need to try to do that and focus on what we can do to try to help our players execute better at Vanderbilt on Sunday.
Matthew, you guys have struggled shooting the ball the past few games. Are you getting the shots that you'd like?
Well, it's a tricky question. Against Georgia, I'm not quite through that whole game yet, but we're up to 12 wide open threes of people that we want to take those. And I know there's a few more, especially when we had a chance there at the end to kind of cut it down a little bit. And so if you just make 3 or 4 of those, it changes the complexion of the game. So are those bad shots, or if they're going in, they're okay. Just a game like last night, when you're not making shots, everything gets magnified. Everything seems worse than it is. And so I haven't even talked about some missed layups we had in there. So what I think for us, with a young team on the road, maybe a wide open 3, if you have not scored in a couple of possessions, maybe you pass that up and try to work the offense a little bit. We just didn't. I don't think I did a good job as a coach trying to help them settle in and figure out where we needed to get the ball. I kept saying it, but I think I certainly didn't get through to them. So we've got to figure out how I can get better there. And the kids want to win. They want to do well. We took some wide open threes that may not have been great shots last night just because of the flow of the game, and that's something we still need to try to work on.
Matthew, when they miss a couple shots or a couple players are off, can that be contagious for a team? Can they start pressing a little bit?
Well, I think that when Victoria and Adia aren't having a great start or getting off to a great start, I think that can affect maybe a couple of others to maybe a little panic sets in. So we got to work our way through that. We just have to get in a position like that when Vic and Adia aren't particularly on, and somebody step up and make a play, and just work our way through it. There's no magic pill we can give them to work that situation out. But I do think that I thought Adia was very passive last night for whatever reason. She just she didn't attack like I know she can, and I think once she sees the video, that'll help her. And she was really passive last night, so we need her to be more aggressive.
In an odd way, is it kind of nice you haven't had this problem very many times this year with all these young kids you're playing?
Well, yeah, I think it's very important right now to try to have some perspective. The sky's not falling. We are, as bad as I feel right now, we are in 4th place with a chance to finish higher. With clearly some inexperienced players that are getting experience all the time. I hate to keep going back to that, but we made some plays last night that I think a year from now Bernicia Pinkett will make a better play. I think a year from now Cassidy Evans will make a better play. So all said and done, at the end of the day, we have a great opportunity at Vanderbilt, and we just need to try to focus on what we need to do and not why last night happened.
How hard is that for you to do as a coach, to separate your emotion from what happened last night?
It's hard, John, because I'm such an emotional coach, and I care so much about them, and I care so much about Kentucky, and all that stuff gets to going in my mind, and that's hard for me to detach. But that's where I preach to them all the time, discipline. That's where I have to have some discipline, and I have to, and it's hard though, man. It's hard sitting up at that scouting table right now going through that film, and you're just trying to say, why in the world are we doing this? Why are we not playing up to our capability? And so that's probably not going to get figured out before Sunday, and I'm wasting time, the time I spend on that. So again, trying to get into what do we need to do I think there's some things we can show them in the Georgia game. You should have done this, and for the Vandy prep, this is what you need to do. We played great against Vanderbilt. There's no doubt we can beat Vanderbilt. They've already done it, and so it's not a question of do we have the talent or whatever. I think it's our mindset. Need to try to get that as good as we can have it going to Nashville.
I know every coach wants their team to be playing their best basketball at the end of the year, but sometimes do teams hit a little bit of a wall at the end of the year right before the tournament? They know they're coming down the end of the regular season, but they still got that tournament in front of them, and would that be any factor at all? With
as I continue in this profession, you continue to learn, and it's not, coaches are just so famous for cliches, and there's all these unwritten and written rules, and you don't give in to fatigue, and you don't do all these things, and we've just gotten to a point where it's almost like we think it's a video game, and you're just putting them out there, and you just press the right button. And the reality is this: we took on a great opportunity to get that Duke game early. That cost us a bye in the SEC season. Whether anybody wants to understand that or not, we've played on that Tuesday, that next Thursday, Sunday, the rest of the year. So when you have a team full of kids, you're counting so much on Vic and Nadia. You're counting so much on the young kids. Of course, at some point it's going to start to wear them down. Our job to try to keep them encouraged, but if we can just stay up here and get through this regular season, win a couple more games, I think we're clearly an NCAA tournament team. We have a great benefit of after that tournament maybe getting a little time to refresh and get it going. So just to answer your question, it's definitely possible that right now we're a little down and we're a little mentally and emotionally fatigued. And so they're not going to cancel these last 3 games for us, so we got to work our way through it. But I think I'd be pretty out of reality if I don't recognize that that's a possibility. I don't know if that was enough for you right there.
Yes.
Did anybody time that one? That was
half of War and Peace.
Yeah, exactly.
27 minutes.
Let's go again. Let's continue the questions. Here we go.
Hey, Coach, how's Adia after the elbow to the noggin?
What brought her back out of the game was her wrist. She cleared up and passed her balance test, concussion test, but when she fell on her wrist, and so that's what got her back out. So we're more concerned about her wrist right now. We're going to get that x-ray today. And Courtney doesn't think there's anything there, but that's what we're more concerned about. She bounced back from the concussion, or last night she was back on the floor. So I'm waiting to see what happens with that. We'll let y'all know as soon as we find something out. But certainly we're hopeful that she's okay because she makes us a lot better.
Anything else, you guys?